Think of a movie that you saw last year, or last month, or even just last week. Do you remember the names of every single character? Do you remember every single line of dialogue? Do you remember every single plot point? Probably not. But whether or not you remember those specific details, I can guarantee that you will remember how the film made you feel. You might have found the movie exciting or boring, hilarious or depressing, romantic or confusing, suspenseful or mind-blowing. You may not remember all of the objective data, but you will remember the film's subjective impact on you. And that emotional response is far more powerful and longer lasting than mere data. Now, let's shift gears for a moment and look at something that seems quite different from art and from feelings, science. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and in 2018, I was offered a dream opportunity. I was hired by a team of CUNY scientists to make a film about their research of the wildlife in one of the last frontiers on Earth's surface, around the island of South Georgia at the top of the Antarctic convergence in the Southern Ocean. But the stakes were high. The National Science Foundation would only give the scientists the grant money that they needed to conduct this research if there was a filmmaker on board to document it. This was just one project, but the situation is dire at large. Science communication has never been more vital than it is today. Courtesy of the internet, we live in the rapidly evolving and ever-expanding information age, yet we simultaneously exist in a dark age, plagued by unscientific misinformation and disinformation. And the National Science Foundation wanted to make sure that I could tell a scientific story accurately. That's a lot of responsibility and pressure for a non-scientist like me. What can a filmmaker do to help communicate science effectively? I actually think that the potential is tremendous. As the old adage goes, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I grew up reading books with pictures like these in them, and they captivated me. These images are charismatic, colorful, and dynamic. They evoke an emotional response in their audience and tell a story. They make you want to become interested in natural history. But these gorgeous, evocative artworks also confront us with a reality that is sometimes difficult to process and accept when you're interested in combating anti-intellectualism. And that is that these images are powerful. And while we think of ourselves as rational and superior and noble thinking beings, we are really emotional creatures, first and foremost. In short, we feel more readily than we think. But that is what art does best, and powerful art like this. It reaches its audience first emotionally and then intellectually. A well-made work of art can do what a scientific paper with its facts and figures and statistics can't do on its own: make people care about science on an emotional level. I want to break down how I attempted to achieve science communication through emotional storytelling with my project, Antarctic Voyage, a documentary about these CUNY researchers and their scientific expedition around South Georgia. Now, we expect facts from a documentary, but dry, objective facts are not all the documentary is or should be. Human beings primarily navigate the world with these two senses, sight and sound, and we'll look at the latter first. Music is a powerful ingredient of filmmaking, but different types of music can alter the experience of a film uniquely. As an experiment, let's look at the exact same footage, but with different music each time. Maybe not that music. Not exactly the vibe that I'm looking for. Yeah, definitely not that music. There, that's more like it. Now, this music is from Bedřich Smetana's Mavlast, and it was composed to celebrate the natural beauty of his homeland, what is currently the Czech Republic. And I wanted to take that music from its nationalist origins and put it on a global scale. Now, this musical selection is an artistic decision, not a scientific choice. It's deeply subjective and intuitive on my part as the filmmaker. But for me, I wanted the sequence to have a sense of grandeur. I wanted it to have a sense of adventure. I wanted the movement of the music to reflect the movement of the ship on the vast waves of the Southern Ocean's landscape. I wanted the audience to feel as though they were there. Music helps offer a sense of rhythm and tone for our images. Which brings me to cinematography. And cinematography is an obvious ingredient when it comes to filmmaking. And there is no right or wrong way to use cinematography. It's all about context. However, there are two things that I've noticed that people tend to fixate on the most when they want to make good cinematography. One, technology, and two, style. But here's what not to worry about too much when wanting to make good cinematography. One, technology, and two, style. Here is my personal philosophy when it comes to cinematography. Technology is just a tool, and how you use that tool as an artist determines its effectiveness. And you can use whatever camera technology is available to you, even the remarkable computers that many of us have in our pockets and call phones. And as for style, I believe that the style of the film, its aesthetic, will reveal itself naturally as you prioritize story and emotion. Ultimately, that's what cinematography should do. It should serve the story and emotion that you want your audience to receive from your film. For instance, icebergs, like in this sequence, should have a big sense of scale. These structures are colossal, sometimes bigger than skyscrapers, and certainly bigger than the ship that we were on. Sometimes they're even miles across, like this one. And with cinematography, I can show the juxtaposition of the waves crashing against their sides or the large seabirds flying nearby to help us get that sense of scale. Now, in doing so, I wanted the icebergs to feel, to the audience, enormous, beautiful, dangerous, but also tragic. Their abundance on the landscape is implying a greater issue of climate change on a global scale. On the other end of the spectrum, what about these tiny planktonic creatures? How do we use cinematography to understand the very small? In this montage, we do so through close-up, getting to know the faces and anatomies of these little animals. And in doing so, I want the audience to appreciate these organisms as strange, maybe even otherworldly, but also relatable. It seems like an alien world at first glance, but these are our distant cousins. It's like a family reunion with relatives that we haven't met since the Cambrian period, 500 million years ago. Now, how do we put these images and sounds together? Through editing. In this forthcoming sequence from Antarctic Voyage, we get a sense that a lot of action is happening. Working on the ship as a researcher can be grueling, intense, exhausting, and even a little surreal. And this synthesis of image, sound, and pacing helps to get a sense of what it's really like to work on the ship for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, for an entire month, in a way that is more emotionally resonant and tangible than a scientific paper can do on its own.
3 common diving petrels milling at 15 degrees, 25 meters out. Crap. Yep, now we're inundated.
Unidentified giant petrel milling, 000, 400 meters.
Want to add 2 snow petrels and a blue petrel following? Thank you.
Cape Petrel flying east, 20 meters.
No, it's a seal just chilling.
What?
Yeah, he's
No
just
way.
he's stretching. Yep, yep.
Oh, I see the seal. Oh my gosh, so many seals.
I've got the red one. No, this is not very scientific. 455.
17.5.
5. 40. 0.1. 0.1.
I'm going to describe one more important ingredient of emotional storytelling. Now, while humans do primarily navigate the world through sight and sound, a key attribute of our species is that we are social creatures. In traditional storytelling, we get to know characters, and this is a connection that we crave as social primates. We want to know the experiences of fellow animals that have endured hardships and challenges, and who also have dreams and aspirations, because we can relate to those experiences with empathy as well. And there are many moments of Antarctic Voyage that attempt to do this. Throughout the documentary, we get to meet marine technicians, biologists, students, and experts alike. But I'm going to describe just one brief scene, and it happens near the end. Our guide through Antarctic Voyage is my friend, Dr. Samantha Monier. In the documentary, Sam's presence is largely as an off-screen narrator reading from a script. But when Sam is on screen during the expedition, she speaks her own truth. And one of the audience's favorite moments is entirely unscripted.
To make a trip like this happen takes years and a lot of planning, and yeah, I forgot kind of how important it is to me personally to be doing those things, to really make me feel alive and to remind myself, I think, why it makes all those number crunching days of the computer worth it for sure. And yeah.
Make room for these authentic moments. Ask the scientists and other characters not just what they are doing, but why they are doing it. Don't just ask, what are the facts? Ask, what are your dreams? Carl Sagan, one of the all-time great communicators of science, had this to say when he was asked why he was so passionate about communicating science to the general public. Sagan said, when you're in love, you want to tell the world. We want to show the world that we love this stuff and that they are invited to love it too. In 2023, I had the remarkable privilege of spending an entire month at sea, documenting the research of wildlife in one of the last frontiers of our planet. And this process of documenting and sharing research can broaden perspectives. Science shows how the world works, and art can shift how we see it. Science and art are also for everyone, regardless of their geography, their background, their language, or their identity. And a scientific, evidence-based worldview is essential in making informed, ethical decisions that affect all of us. We just have to get people to care first. And artists have a unique opportunity to do so. The stakes have never been higher. It can be done, and today, it must be done. Thank you.